They never believed me, and somehow I get it. It's too surreal to be true. That's why I rarely talk about it to anyone anymore. But just in case you wonder, this is what happened. I was driving down a back road on a warm summer night. The journey was long, but the thought of spending a few days with my son filled me with excitement. The route was peaceful, barely lit by the full moon and stars peeking through the treetops. At one of the turns, my headlights caught 3 figures at the roadside, a woman and 2 kids. Something about their appearance threw me off. They wore clothes that seemed straight out of the 1950s, outdated and worn by time. A cold sweat left me pale, but I decided not to stop. Something inside told me it wasn't safe. I continued on, trying to forget the encounter. But at the next turn, I felt a fear like never before. There they were again, as if they had teleported. This time, fear overtook me, and I hit the accelerator, determined to get as far away as possible. However, the real shock came at the next turn. The road was empty, but glancing in the rearview mirror, I discovered the woman and children sitting in the back seat of my car. My hands shook on the steering wheel, panic overwhelming me. I couldn't understand how they got in or when. The woman, with a calm but firm voice, told me to take them quickly to the bus station. I couldn't believe what I was hearing or seeing. In a desperate act, I stopped the car at the roadside and ran, not looking back. I ran until I found a motel on the outskirts of the nearest small town. I was exhausted and still trembling with fear. Upon arrival, I shared what happened with the motel staff, hoping to find some comfort or at least a logical explanation. However, what I heard next only increased my fear. They told me an old story from the town, about 70 years ago, about a woman who worked as a maid in the house of a rich and powerful man. According to the story, she fled with her children to escape the abuse they suffered. But the man, filled with rage, pursued them, forcing them to return. A few days later, the woman and her children disappeared without a trace. The case was never investigated due to the man's influence. I couldn't sleep at all that night, recalling the encounter with those people that somehow seemed to have been trapped in time. At dawn, still full of fear, I decided to return to my car. I found it exactly where I had left it, abandoned at the roadside. Fearfully, I slowly opened the door, but there was no one inside. Everything was calm, as if the previous night had never happened. With my heart still racing, I set off. The remaining 60 miles to my son's house passed in a blur of thoughts and theories, trying to explain the unexplainable. Upon arrival, my son noticed my pale face and eyes. That experience stayed with me. A disturbing memory of a night where it seemed that the past and present had intertwined in a mysterious and terrifying way. Even today, as I drive on lonely roads on summer nights, I can't help but check the back seat, just to make sure I'm alone. The reflection of a sleepless night. I told him everything, from the first encounter to the escape and the town's stories. He listened in silence, without interrupting. When I finished, he laughed it off, paying it no mind. That experience stayed with me. A disturbing memory of a night where it seemed that the past and present had intertwined in a mysterious and terrifying way. Even today, as I drive on lonely roads on summer nights, I can't help but check the back seat, just to make sure I'm alone.